Hello and welcome to What Now with Anna and Eric. I am Anna.
I'm Eric.
And we are on this podcast, What Now with Anna and Eric, and we are reading chronologically through the Bible.
We sure are.
We are going off of the YouVersion plan, which is the...
Boom.
Really easy. You just go look it up under plans on the YouVersion app.
For those of you that use the app, little free tip, they now have a prayer suggestion. So when you highlight scripture, it says, would you like to pray through this? And you can click it and pray
Boom.
through it. And you can pray.
So helpful.
Yeah, and you can pray with others.
And you can comment, you can talk on it,
I'm
you can invite
telling you
people
what.
to your plan.
Technology.
But even if you are not going through the chronological Bible plan, we would still love for you to tune in because, hey, we're reading the Bible. And that's going to be something that if you're not doing this chapter or this section today, you will eventually get to it. And it is so cool to really get into this Bible and not just have your own thoughts, but really to get other people's perspectives and thoughts because we all see it differently and we all have different life experiences that we filter it through. So it's very cool. Having said that, Eric, what is your 3-word summary of this week?
God gives hope.
Oh. You're usually so sarcastic, but that's like
God gives hope.
Yeah, true.
Do you want to know why?
Should we get into that?
Because
in this moment,
I think my 3 words are God gives hope because in my just mundane reading day to day,
yes,
he comes through and gives me one of my favorite Bible stories that I totally forgot was there.
Isn't it great?
And he gives hope because he gives me this morsel of saying, you know what?
Yeah.
In the desert, I will give you this morsel.
Straight
because
up.
then he goes right back into a long lineage. But in that, there is an oasis that gave me a glimmer of just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So God
just keep
gives
swimming.
hope.
Which
But
was
yeah,
last
there's
week.
also biblically in here like
there is some hopeful moments.
Yes.
Mine is a lot happened. I mean, there was a lot that occurred.
Okay, so
during the
grammatically,
section.
is that 3 words?
A lot happened.
But see, I'm the person.
Oh, did I say it as one word? A lot happened.
Well, I'm the person that writes it a lot, like ALOT, a lot, not a lot.
You know what? I think that might be 2 words in this instance.
Wow.
Well, and I even had a secondary one,
you
but that
really
was
just
4 words.
Wow.
Which was, are we there yet?
You know
but
what?
I was like, that's too long, so I went with a lot happened. But
You know what's
apparently
great?
that's too short.
When you're in charge, you get to do what you want.
Wait, give me 1 second. Yes, a lot happened. That's my 3 words.
No, but that's what you're a writer. Is a lot a word? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a space lot.
Unless you're talking about a lot of land. And
A
I
lot.
don't mean
Oh,
like
like
a lot of land. I
lot.
mean like a lot.
Yes, a 1 acre lot.
Of land. Yeah.
So is that what
about
you're
that.
saying here? A lot happened? Are you talking about
that's
the space
true.
that the
There's a
Israelites were
discussion
in?
about property lines in there and boundaries. So yeah, a lot did happen in this. See, it all works out. Okay, so this is going to be great today. Before we get into that catch-up tip,
Yes.
my catch-up tip is inspirational music. If you are feeling like, I just really can't get into this, what is that one song that motivates you to do literally everything? Listen to that song, get into the Bible.
There you go.
You know how like you have music for exercise or music for school doing homework or music, people listen to music all the time to like motivate them to get through stuff.
Anna.
Music, the Bible.
I want to challenge you.
You want to challenge me?
I want to challenge you because I think stretching people's outside of their margins and capacity is a good thing. I'm going to challenge you. I don't think, do you have Spotify?
No.
Oh, man. You should
Does
make
that ruin the challenge?
Well, yeah, it does because you can't make a Spotify playlist if you don't have Spotify.
Oh.
But what would be great for our listeners if you created a Spotify playlist or a playlist of songs and it was just like pre-Bible reading hype music. Like, what gets you into the Bible
that
reading?
would
Like,
never work.
Like, I have like
you
3 or 4.
realize most of my inspirational songs come from My Little Pony. No one else is going to listen to that.
I'm just saying, because I have tons of different like pregame hype playlists that you like before sporting events, before the, like pregame stuff.
So pre-Bible hype.
Oh, it would.
You know what? I will consider that.
Yeah, just oceans on a loop. Good father.
Those are good songs. Oh, there's a reason why they keep coming up over the decades.
Oh.
So we're excited to talk to you today. A couple of fairly normal people talking about the Bible.
Hit the music.
Spiritual growth is a puzzle, and I'm a little bit muddled. What does discipleship even mean? What now? What now?
So
I don't know why I never lip sync that. Wouldn't that be great?
We didn't even talk about it, but in the fan questions from last week.
Yeah.
But then somebody just commented a question this week.
Oh.
But what it was, is the Daniel that was on stage singing a brother of Anna Mae Martin? And the answer is, number one, the answer is yes, that is a brother of Anna Mae Martin. Second thing, that is also the guy who sings on our song.
That's true.
That intros this podcast. So, there you go.
And he actually sang it into an iPhone in the UP because when we created the song, none of us were in the same place.
And you hear
Fun
nothing
fact.
good comes out of the UP. That song did.
That song came out of the UP. Do people say that?
Nope. I don't know any of them.
Lots of great things are in the UP.
Trees.
There is a mystery spot which has magnetic phenomena.
Trees. Waterfalls.
And trees. And magnetic
Copper.
phenomena. Are you just gonna
Wisconsin.
People come out of the UP.
They do.
Wait,
as soon
Wisconsin?
as they can.
Oh, because it's connected. I see what you did there.
Mountain Dew actually gave the UP to Wisconsin. Did you know that? They did the cans. They did the different cans for all the different states. And in the map, the Mountain Dew map, each state was a different pattern. And they gave the UP the same pattern as Wisconsin, not as Michigan. Yeah.
What?
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew.
They don't know.
They are in
They're all
charge of
hopped up
property
on-
lines.
They're hopped up on themselves.
A lot happened with Mountain Dew.
A lot. A false lot.
They took the lot
A false lot
of the Upper
happened.
Peninsula and they stuck it onto Wisconsin. Okay, so
we could have used a lot happens when Lot came into the picture.
we could, Man. Because a lot happened with Lot.
Alliteration.
Like literally.
It's great. All right.
Okay, so let's hit our Bible recap.
Boom. Recap.
All right, so we went through Numbers 19 through Numbers 36.
You know what's great about
this?
this?
Huge chunk of numbers.
Flip the page. You know what happens next week?
Moving on.
Watch out, Deuteronomy. Here we come. We're knocking on the door.
I would like to say it gets a lot better in Deuteronomy. There are moments.
Listen, God came through this week. So.
God came through this week. And remember, just keep swimming. I think that is a summary that just, you got to. Yeah. And honestly, it is like this section. And I know I said this last week, but this section can be the hardest to get through. But let me tell you, the tiny details that are in here are so cool if you really look for them. Hey. And if you just take the Bible and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to read this section. I'm not going to read this section. Number one, that's not a great idea.
For those of you sports
because the Bible
fans,
should be read as a whole.
Yeah.
But
you sports fans out there, this is the time where you're in the gym grinding. Nobody's watching. You're putting in the work.
Boom.
You're sweating. Your game's on point.
Audio
This is
read.
what's doing it right here.
This is what's doing
This is
it.
your Bible grinding. We're
Boom.
grinding through it. You're going to come out champs on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch out, Jesus. It's going to blow your mind. You'll be like, wow, I'm glad I got here.
So it's going to be great. All right. So here's our Bible recap.
Yes.
Starting with Numbers 19. This is a good one. I had a lot of fun with this one. Dead bodies.
nowhere to go.
I shouldn't have said I had a lot of fun and then started with that one.
I had so much fun with this. Dead bodies.
Okay, it gets funner as you move on. Well, the second chapter is dead Aaron. Because he dies right after that. Okay, maybe that's why they talked about dead bodies, because they knew Aaron was going to die, and they're like, here's what you got to do.
Here, I'm going to give you a chance for editing purposes if you want to edit around this. You want to start again? Maybe not with the giggly laughter talking about death.
Okay.
All right,
Numbers 19.
Yes. You can't do it, can you?
Wait, I can do it. I can totally do it. Dead bodies. Dead Aaron. People keep attacking. Talking donkey. Surprise blessings. Not surprise blessings. Spear of zealousness. Clans, women's rights and commissioning. Gift offerings. Festival a day. Vows. Balaam gets what's coming. Let's stay here. Travel plans. Property lines. Murder rules. Marriage rule. And that is the recap of this week's Bible reading. Thank you. But hey, all right, here's what I thought when I read this recap. I'm like, thinking about numbers and how hard it is to get through numbers, I would totally want to read numbers if I saw this recap. Don't you think it's intriguing?
Yeah, it is.
And it's on point too, so it's true.
But then you got to get into it.
Then you got to get into it.
You got to get into it.
And there are bits in here
See chapter 26, the second census, because we need that list of names again.
Yes. Having said that, though, even in chapter 26, okay, so that one was clans. So chapter 26, there were some points in here that I drew out. Oh, more than I thought even. So, like, one of the points was chapter 26, verse 11, it says, however, the sons of Korah, who was that really unfortunate person who got swallowed by the earth, it says, however, the sons of Korah did not die that day. And it makes that distinction in the middle of the census. And usually when they, like, say something in the middle of, like, a list of lineage or a census, it's because it is abnormal, like something abnormal than regular. And during this time, especially, if like a father did something wrong, their descendants and their children also got punished for it. Like that was kind of like a norm thing. Like families, basically stuff happened to your kids, etc. But it like made like an exception here where it was like, however, during this, I mean, we all know Korah died, but his sons did not. And so that was like an interesting exception to the rule where God's mercy came through in that situation. So I thought that was cool. That was one of the things.
Can we back it up a little bit?
Yeah.
Like I apologize that I went to there.
Yeah, you
first.
went right to 26.
I was just.
And so I was interested.
But can we go back to the middle of 22?
Oh yeah. Okay. So
middle of 22?
The great, oh gosh, this is one of my favorite stories too in the Bible, right in the middle of Numbers. This is like the gold nugget of all gold nuggets.
Yeah.
Eric, do you want to introduce?
I'll give you the bold heading.
Yes.
Balaam's donkey.
Balaam's donkey.
I'm telling you. So
AKA.
Listen, and if you can read this without envisioning Eddie Murphy's donkey in Shrek, then go for it, because that's all I can do now is when I read this.
We talked about Shrek being biblical because of this story.
and all I can picture is Balaam rolling in on the donkey from Shrek with Eddie Murphy's voice in this interaction and exchange.
They should do that in the audio Bible.
I am telling you.
Get him just for that.
Yes.
Just for when the donkey talks.
Your version probably has all the monies.
Yeah.
They can.
I mean, why not?
But yeah, if you don't read this with Eddie Murphy's voice in your head.
Can you do his voice right now and read?
Not with Justice. No.
What about with not Justice? I mean, I'd be willing to to listen to it because I think it's funny.
It becomes offensive. then we're crossing the line there.
Okay.
We're not going there.
So here's what happens.
That would get us in a lot of trouble.
Here's what happens. Balaam is this guy who goes around, he curses and he blesses people's, and when I say people's, I mean people groups, and it happens.
Yeah.
as
got
he
a
says
connection.
it.
He's got a
So,
conversation with God going.
Balak, not to be confused with Balaam,
Nope.
goes out and he's like, I need you to go out and curse the people of Israel. So he goes to Balaam's house and he's like, can you do it? God is like, no, don't go.
Yeah.
And then he comes again. God is like, well, okay, you're going to go, but you're only going to do what I tell you to say. And apparently Balaam was already planning on going anyways, because God was so frustrated about it that he sends this angel with a sword. Swords come in here, people.
Yeah.
That should be noted because I like swords. He comes in with a sword. Balaam is riding his donkey. The donkey sees the angel. Balaam does not. The donkey sees the angel, goes off the road like 3 times. Balaam is ticked off, starts hitting his donkey with a cane, and then the mind-blowing moment, and here's what really hit me. The donkey starts talking to Balaam, and instead of Balaam freaking out, he says, well, this is what, blah, 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 blah.
Listen, there is so much greatness.
What?
There is so much greatness to this nugget. Let's start with the fact that, wow, where's that number 3 come in? Like 3 times. Oh, Peter, what are you gonna do? Oh, 3 times.
3
yeah.
times.
Hey, but look at 3 times. That. So let's
3
take
days
that. But
for
yeah,
Jesus.
the fact that this donkey is just like the first time there's a huge path. The donkey's just off into a field. Like, I ain't going that way. We're just going this way. And then like narrow path. I'm running you into the wall. Like we're not doing this. And the third time it's just like I'm laying down. Like play dead. Just go flat.
Like we cannot do that.
And then the conversation starts. And how many times has he had a conversation with his donkey? Because it's just natural.
Like it's just
the donkey
totally.
starts talking, he's like, listen here, donkey.
Listen here, donkey. And the donkey's
that's-
like, I've served you well all these years.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
You're right, donkey.
You're right, donkey.
You have done that. But
Did he name his donkey? I mean, it'd be weird not to name a talking donkey, right?
If you have this deep of a relationship with your animal, you better name him.
Yes,
but,
for sure.
But Shrek's donkey was named Donkey.
Oh, so that's where it comes in.
I'm telling you, if you
Maybe Donkey's whose donkey.
if you can get through this story without just seeing Shrek and Donkey walking down and them be the characters in this, like now,
So funny.
Balaam forever is like Shrek. I can just picture it. I
I
picture
do
him as
wonder
Shrek.
about this though, because even when we go all the way back to Adam and Eve starts talking to the snake in the tree, and again, no surprise, to start having a conversation with a reptile. And I just think, did this occur more often than it does right now? That God was just like, all right, frog, say something. I don't know.
You're not listening to me.
Or we're all animals like parrots.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I guess if we're talking about talking animals, parrots, fun fact, a raven is can carry a better conversation than a parrot.
I legit have very one-sided conversation with my dogs on a regular basis. But I do know that if at one point they talk back, I am not going to be nonchalant like, wow, you have served me well, dog. Like, I mean, it would blow my mind. I wouldn't be like, you're right about that,
really
dog.
is like the part of the story that just gets me the most. It's just his zero shock with these circumstances.
But, and then, I mean, why doesn't the donkey have a say in any of the rest of this stuff? Like, I would have kept him going. Like, where?
And here's a question that I have. Because as you continue the story, Balaam ends up blessing Israel, right? Because he simply can't do anything else. But, and I'm pretty sure his story must come up somewhere else, because I swear I remember this. But what he does do is he tells Balak, he says, I can't curse the people of Israel, but if you send the women of your country to go seduce them, God's going to get angry, and that's how you're going to take them out. And it actually does say later, a couple chapters later on, it says, because of, and I'm trying to see if I wrote it down here. Basically, because of like Balaam's advice is what it was saying. So it does talk about how he gave them advice to do this. And because of Balaam's advice, basically the people of Israel, 24,000 of them died. And later on, so then at that point, God's angry. He's like, you need to go take out these people. And it does specifically say that Balaam was killed in the battle. And so then my question is, did the donkey survive? And did they keep it? Because, I mean, it talks.
But
sees
I don't
angels.
know if it. But
why wouldn't
do
you
they
keep that
know?
donkey?
But once again, I don't know if it talks to them. I don't know.
That's true.
But what is so cool about this? So yes, the donkey snapped me out of my.
Yeah.
It was like
It was
I was in.
right in the middle of numbers.
I was in. But what is awesome about it is then Balaam goes to Balak and Balak so badly wants these people cursed.
Yes.
And
this was so funny.
What I love about it is he keeps trying to show Balaam different perspectives and different viewpoints.
Yes.
And Balaam's role in this is he's like, okay, you want me to see it this way. Set up the altars. Do everything you can to make sure you bring God into this moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go have a conversation, and I'm going to speak God's words to you. And so over and over again, he keeps trying to get Balak to see God's perspective. Like, not Balak's the one taking Balaam to all these different locations, but in this journey, Balaam is trying to show Balak that perspective. Like, no, you want to see it here. Here's how God sees it.
Yeah.
Open your eyes and see it this way. Quit telling me to curse him and go against God. See it this way and try to go, so I think it's a really cool perspective to look at it that way, to say each and every time Balak moved Balaam, it was set up for Balak to see the people from God's perspective. And he just refused to do it. He won't do it. But he gets the opportunity over and over and over again to see them that way. Yeah. So, I don't know. I love this part of this.
I did write down his line because I thought it was really funny, where they go to 2 different locations, and then it says, the king Balak said to Balaam, "Come, I will take you to one more place. Perhaps it will please God to let you curse them from here." And I was like, what? Why would that matter?
But I read them. Once again, how you read the Bible is so, like, it's such a conversation. Like, listen, we've slaughtered like a bunch of ox, we've slaughtered a lot of animals. We built a lot of altars here. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I know God's told you no, but wait till you see it from this perspective. Yeah. I'm sure
this is a particularly nice hill. Yeah. And I think that it will really change.
But the bigger picture of so think of it and put yourself in the story. Like, what parts of your life are you having that same discussion of, listen, God, I know you don't want me to do this, but look at if I do it this way, like, look at it from this perspective. Like, look what I can do here. And if you let me do it, if I can do it this way, is it okay? And God keeps saying, you probably just shouldn't do it at all. And you just keep trying to change perspective, and you're like, oh, but I go to church all the time. I read my Bible. This is my altar that I've set up for you, and I've done everything I need to do. So if I could just do this, is that okay? And God's like, no. And you're like, well, but let's go over here. Let's try this.
Let's try one more thing.
So how many times do we do that? And that's what kind of really stood out to me in this whole.
Well, and if you think about it, even Balaam does that. Because he goes through, he blesses Israel twice. The third time it says he doesn't even bother to do, like, to ask about it, because he know God wants him to bless this people. So then he just blesses them. Well, then, what does he do from there? He knows God. Like, he talks to God. God is having a conversation with him. And he knows God wants to bless these people. But then he gives Balak advice and says, all right, I can't curse them, but here's how you can screw them up. And because of that, he gets killed in a war later on. Like, what was Balaam thinking? His donkey has an encounter with an angel with a sword. Like, he's almost put to death. He can't curse these people, but he still chooses to make the wrong choice. And I think that alone was what really blew my mind, because I was like, what?
I do like that the angel does call out Balaam for being dumber than the donkey. Like, the donkey saw me and was moving me away. Like, I could have taken you down. Yeah, why are you doing that? He's the only thing that spared you. Like, listen, you're not as smart as your donkey.
Siding with the
and the donkey's like, could have told you that. I'm a talking donkey.
I'm amazing. They made a movie about me. It was good.
Do you think? Now, listen, if I'm quoting this wrong, just deal with it. Do you think the jawbone that Samson uses
was that donkey's jawbone?
That it
lived on as like some like Well, talking donkey. It does seem like it would be more powerful than
I need to really dive into the historical. There's got to be a theologian.
There's probably a rock somewhere with a carving on it that's just like this jawbone came from that donkey.
That would be incredible.
I would be very surprised. I would be very surped.
I'm going to put a note on this when we get
related.
to that story and see how that relates. Oh, man.
Okay, so, I put some other things in here.
You were always good with the wow verse and the science. And
Yeah. There was one more random verse.
Yeah.
When the Israelites are going around and they're taking cities, there is this one section where it says, "Meanwhile, a man named Noba captured the town of Kenneth and its surrounding villages, and he renamed that area Noba after himself." I just thought that was so funny. Number one, I did think, well, if he captured a whole city and its surrounding villages by himself, that's pretty impressive. So I guess if you were going to name a town after yourself, but it was just like, I would like to call this town Eric.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like nobody else had a hand in it.
Nobody else.
Well, that's not off the top of my head, but I know that people in the past in the Bible have set up altars and they name it like place of God or
place of blessing.
He God was
water.
here. Yeah, this
I
guy's
want to name this one.
Yep,
my name.
Yep.
It's pretty great.
Like, what if the tribe of Dan? Dan. I'm gonna name this piece of land
for real.
Dan.
Too funny.
But yeah, hey, listen. When you do all the work, quit giving glory to God. Just take it for yourself.
My science verse, and this is more like Bible science. It's because I don't necessarily know exactly. I didn't really look up how this applies to our current knowledge of the world and how it works because, hey, God knows way more than we do. Mm-hmm. So maybe we just haven't gotten to this point yet. But it talks about, when it's talking about these cities of refuge. So if somebody accidentally kills somebody, which, by the way, that chapter was hilarious. The specifics that went into that. I was laughing through that whole thing. But it gives a reasoning for these cities of refuge. And it's not necessarily the reason that you're thinking. Because what God says, he says this in verse 33 of that chapter. It says, "This will ensure these cities of refuge that basically people who accidentally kill somebody can go to. This will ensure that the land where you live will not be polluted. For murder pollutes the land, and no sacrifice except the execution of the murderer can purify the land from murder." And this is, we had previously talked about the personification of the land. And the first time we kind of see this distinctly tied to murder is Cain and Abel, where it says, God says, "The land has cried out because the blood of your brother is in the land." And so I was just thinking about it as I was looking at this, and we have also talked about how sin deteriorates the land. It has deteriorated the earth over time, and just how interesting that scientifically, the polluting of the land and the destruction of the land doesn't just come from lack of crop rotation and different things like that, which God did make rules for, by the way. But it also comes from you killed somebody, and that deteriorates like the soil and the land and everything that is occurring in it. So I just thought that was very interesting. And it probably does not come up in agricultural meetings. Hey, was somebody killed here? But
yeah.
And, thankfully because of Jesus, you could probably pray over it anyways and it would be fine. But it was just kind of interesting. I don't think science has ever gotten that far, but I thought that was cool.
And I do like the judgment that if you did something, you better have more than one witness, because one witness will not get it.
Yes.
One witness will not get it done.
And just to go along with that, the murder chapter. So I did.
The murder chapter.
The murder chapter.
The murder chapter.
It was, okay, I was laughing so hard at this. Maybe I should not have, but I was.
There is a bigger issue that I think you need to work through. But
just listen to this.
What has gotten you into hysterics today?
So it starts describing like what counts as what. So it's like, but if someone strikes and kills another person with a piece of iron, it's murder, and the murderer should be executed. Or if someone with a stone in his hand strikes and kills another person, or if someone strikes and kills another person with a wooden object, it is murder. Or if somebody waits in ambush and then pushes him or throws something at him and he dies, that's murder too. Or if someone hates another person and hits him with this fist and he dies, that is murder. And I was like, these are very specific. Like, if you use, it doesn't matter. It's basically saying, like, it doesn't really matter what you use. It could be iron, it could be some wood, it could be a rock.
So, Eric,
why don't you just say, if you kill them, they're dead.
Here's what I think.
And why did nobody include the jawbone of the donkey, the talking donkey?
That comes in later. But what do you think, like, God's people, like, it was like, hey, murder's wrong. And they're like, all right, but I got this wood, so now I murdered somebody. But the wood really killed them, and God's like, you cannot kill somebody with wood. And then they go back, and they like, I pushed him off a cliff.
But that's not, really, the fall killed them.
Yeah, and God's like, please don't push people. That's murder. Like, do you think people just
please don't push people?
Like, all these things, and God's like, I will decree that.
But I waited in ambush, and then I just chucked something. Yeah. And, and
then God's like,
and I have bad aim, and it hit like I was intending it to, but I mean, that wasn't really me.
And God just has this list.
And who was the guy who thought killing somebody with your fist was not murder? That would be my secondary question. I hit him with my knuckles, but really, I'm just so strong. Is it really my fault?
Every friend group has that one dumb friend.
Yeah.
And I bet you that friend group is like, dude, I bet you God still won't let you hit him with your fist. And he's like, boom. And then God's like,
that's murder.
Yeah, it's still murder.
If you think about it, we actually have that in our legal system. Like, if you are a professional martial arts, your fist is considered a legal weapon.
A lethal
Happened
weapon.
In the Bible first, people.
Yeah. I just think that's
a lethal weapon.
That's just the way I play it out. Like, I think it's condensed to give you the list of things, and you read it and you're like, why do we have this list? And I guarantee we have this list because, like, the high priest came to God this day.
Oh, God.
Jim used a piece of wood. Yes, that's murder.
Yes, that's...
Jim used an iron stick. Yes, that's still murder.
Somebody get Jim out of here.
He needs to go.
He keeps killing people.
He has a problem.
And we all know it wasn't accidental. He cannot go to the city of refuge.
Jebediah used his fist. Still murder.
All right, so last verse.
Yeah.
This is my wow verse. This is Balaam when he's blessing the people. He says in verse 17, I see him, but not here and now. I perceive him, but far in the distant future. A star will rise from Jacob. A scepter will emerge from Israel. It will crush the heads of Moab's people, cracking the skulls of the people of Sheth. And I was like, star. Guess who that is?
We're not going to tell you.
We're not
here.
The mystery continues. It's Jesus.
Hey.
Wow. I couldn't help it. I had to say it.
No, like, if you don't, what I love is, like, we're gonna read chronologically, and we're gonna get, and if you can just put a highlight, put a pin in that, and what's so cool is if you start reading this and you're like, wait a second, that's Jesus.
That's Jesus.
And you just see how many times
he comes up.
He comes up.
There's like a Jesus passage every single week. Yeah. We have found one.
That's maybe that we need to make that part of the weekly thing.
What is our Jesus passage?
Yeah, Jesus passage. But you know what? Last week we had International Women's Day.
That's true.
And you did not talk about.
I didn't talk about the women's rights. That's true.
I try to stand up for women everywhere, and you're just like, nope.
We got a couple minutes.
Pushing them down.
God gave property to women first, people.
Watch out.
Yeah.
So all you women out there that are being told you can't own property.
There's a whole chapter about it.
God's telling you, go out. You own your property.
He also gives marriage rights to women because later the people are like, oh, you gave these daughters of so-and-so this property, but when they marry outside the tribe, we're going to lose the land. And God is like, well, okay, I understand what you're saying. They will have to marry basically inside the tribe, but they can marry whoever they want. And I was like, that's cool.
So, get it, girl.
Get it, girl.
You know, that's what I'm saying.
Women's rights.
Go buy your property. Hey,
man, God is always, he's looking out for people.
And if you're listening here and your family's trying to marry you off to your own tribe, you pick your man.
You pick your man.
You pick your man.
Pick who you want.
Yeah, don't let that arranged marriage. There might be a lot of land at stake, but you know what? You go get your own land and you find your own man. Love who you're going to love.
This is an interesting
Girl, wash
dive
your
into
face.
this one.
Wait,
All right.
that's right. Sorry,
Next
Rachel
steps.
House.
Next
Don't sue us.
steps. Here's the next steps.
Buy land. Marry who you want.
I don't
Talk to your
know.
donkey.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. I like your next step, actually.
Oh.
When God says, don't do this, don't look for another way to do it.
Yeah.
That's
or
my
at
summary
least
statement.
Time 2, 3, 4. At some point,
Yeah.
feel free to give in to
free.
what God's
and man,
showing you.
I mean, I know it's not easy, certainly.
No.
But like that's why we have the Bible, to help us to remember and to help us to make better choices in those situations. That's why God gave this to us, because he knows it's hard. He gets that.
And the sooner you trust in God's perspective, the easier it's going to be.
Yes.
Like
God's
you
perspective.
can go to the second viewpoint and try to change it. It's still going to be the same. So
Yeah.
just change it the first time.
Yeah.
It's not easy. We're not saying it's easy, but it's worth it.
It is.
All right.
And if your animal ever talks to you, let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
We would love to hear that story.
Listen,
I would love to hear
I would
that
really
story.
love to hear that conversation. And were you as calm in that conversation
Yes.
as Balaam?
That
Because
would be great.
I would not.
Yes. So thank you for listening to What Now with Anna and Eric.
Oh,
I'm Anna.
I'm Eric.
Fairly normal people talking about the Bible, and we look forward to talking to you next
Can't
week.
wait.